Welcome everybody. Having my green tea for the evening with all of you. I'm Brandy Joy, and we're going to talk about being an empath tonight. I have a lot of questions from my light workers about being an empath and about absorbing other people's energies and setting boundaries, right? Knowing how to protect the self. And so we're going to address some of those issues tonight. I had a few people asking me if I was going to talk about the nodes tonight. I will do that next week, since tonight I'm going to go ahead with the empath discussion. So welcome. Hi there. So I would love to hear from you as you log on. I'm just giving y'all just a minute or two while people log on, and let me know if you feel that you're an empath. Hi Meredith. Good to see you, honey. So, anybody have a little green tea with me? I'm trying to be healthy. Hi Chantal. Hi. Yeah, I just saw that you had messaged me earlier. Good evening. I have had a busy day. All right. Okay, got a few people on Periscope, a few people on Facebook so far. We had some green tea earlier. Hey Greg. Good to see you. So we have a full moon coming up on the 8th next week. That's about a week and a half, about 10 days away. 9-10 days. Oh, good evening. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for joining. All right. So, most light workers are considered empaths. And an empath, I'll go ahead and define it for all of you that might not know or just want to hear about it. How's the tattoo? It's great. So for all of you that would like the definition, an empath is someone that can feel or sense feelings from another person. And some people say they absorb those feelings or energies. I thought maybe that was the case until I learned otherwise, that you're actually not absorbing anything, right? It's an issue of boundaries. So I wrote down some things because sometimes when I'm talking I forget some stuff and I'm like, darn it, I should have said this and this too. So I do want to have my notebook here with me just so I remember all the little things that I have written down to talk to you about. All right. So as an empath, what's happening to you is that you are being triggered. Okay. So you already have all of the emotions inside of you, right? We get into victim mentality quite easily as empaths, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But I do want to say that, first of all, you're not absorbing other people's energies. You're feeling other people's energies. And that is mirroring the energies that are inside of you that are latent inside of you, maybe anger, right, frustration, those negative energies that usually we go, oh no, I don't want you to come near me because I'm an empath, right? Well, sorry to tell you this, but they're triggering, they're mirroring you. And so they're triggering those emotions inside of you, those energies that are already in you. You're feeling it and it's triggering those. So whenever you do emotional release work, if you do emotional release work, what emotional release work is, it's where you start releasing the emotions that are inside of you that you've stifled, okay, and you've repressed and suppressed and tried to not deal with them. So with emotional release work, you start crying and laughing and you just go hysterical, your whole body, right? Now, when you do this around other people, especially other empaths, right, everybody starts triggering each other, right? So instead of just having an emotional release, like crying a little bit and stuff and getting a little hysterical, you actually go into psycho mode. Everybody their emotions just go everywhere and they're just triggering each other, mirroring each other. And it just gets crazy wild and it can go on for a long period of time. Right? So if you've never been in a situation like that, I highly recommend it. I was thinking about putting some of those on in my meetup group, but I have not done that yet. They do have it down in Fort Lauderdale. There's a place, a wonderful teacher down there, Nyano. She leads emotional release workshops. But yeah, if you could find a place that does tantric yoga or any type of emotional release work, that would be fantastic for you if you'd like to experience that. But as an empath, you are you have boundary problems is what it is. I have boundary problems. And I remember, God, how long ago was that? Years ago, I was at a psychologist, was seeing a psychologist, and because as healers, we love to go get help all the time, right? We're always looking, hey, help me, right? So I go to the psychologist, and he goes, you know you have boundary issues? And I had never heard that before. I was like, boundary issues? What is that? Like, what do you mean? I have boundary issues. Like, what are boundaries? Boundaries? Who needs boundaries? So he explained to me that I had boundary issues, and it comes from your childhood, right? So I started studying this, because I definitely had some boundary issues, and we all do as empaths, because we were trained as children. We were taught. We were taught to not have boundaries. A lot of times we were abused, right? And what happens is that, for instance, life is unpredictable when you're a child for someone that becomes an empath, typically. You have this unpredictable childhood going on, right? Where you don't know if maybe your caretaker is going to scream at you or beat you or rape you or do something horrible to you. Or if, you live in a household where people are coming in and out, typical, unpredictable, traumatic experiences. So what happens, the reason you become so empathic, is because you are actually learning to be intuitive as a child. You are learning to read beyond someone saying something because you don't know what's going to happen, right? You're worried all the time. And so it's a fight or flight response. It's a response that's like, okay, so I don't know what's going to happen, so I better figure this out real quick. Like when somebody walk in, you'd learn to read them real quick, right? And it's a learned behavior. It's a learned thing that you train yourself to do. You're trained to do it through your upbringing. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think, oh, I was born with this high intuition. Yeah, you might have been born with a high frequency, but typically it comes from abusive situations. It comes from having to train yourself to be able to feel and to read other people. Okay? And when you learn to do that, because we can all learn to do that, right, you become extremely empathic. And you have boundary issues because you're also taught, hey, who are you? You don't matter usually, right? Or, your parents might have said some stuff to you or your caretakers, whoever it might be, said some things to you that made you feel like you were less than, right? So you automatically get into this, well, I better just kind of do what other people want me to do for the most part to make them happy and become more of a yes person because, who cares about me? I don't, right? I'm not worth it, right? And that's where the worthless stuff comes in with a lot of the victim mentality with empaths as well, right? Oh, thanks. Thank you, Elaine. Why those things happen, Kevin. Hey, Angelica. He said every child gets a taste of emotional abuse. Yeah, and that's why a lot of people are so empathic too. That's part of the reason, okay? I'm not going to say it's all the reason, but it's part of it. Why do those things happen? Are you asking me why abuse happens? Because this world, as a spiritual school, is very low vibration. It's very much a screwed up place. It's not... It's not like, oh, everything's wonderful on the spirit side, and then, we're just going to come here and everything's going to be great. But then there's these... It's all a learning process, all right? We're all growing. There's young souls, there's old souls, there's medium souls, right? And, old souls, they're kind of over it usually. And they're quite lazy, typically, and don't even want to deal with life anymore. And they just want out. Medium souls, the ones like myself, I'm in the middle. I'm in the individuated stage, which is between young and old, right in the middle. I'm like the young adult, I guess, of a soul. We choose certain lives where we stay individuated. We have to work on the individuated state, but at the same time, to understand how to merge with other people, but with loving ourselves, being individuated. So, anyways. You had a controlling mother. Yes, yeah. Yeah, and that's why so many people in this this realm of being light workers, empaths, and healers are so, you know, intuitive, really. It's because we've had those traumatic experiences. Yeah, and if you've had an abusive, spouse, that's projections coming from, you're trying to heal emotional wounds from childhood, typically. Hi, Tammy. Hey, Virginia. Yeah, typically we attract what we vibrate, right? So that's the issue as well. Okay. So when you're a kid, you're emotionally abused, you become very empathic, and then as you get older, you have this low vibration, right? So you're attracting negativity. Right? Because we're like magnets. We attract, whatever our, frequency is putting out. So I know I did this. I had a really bad time. Hi, Monica. I had a really bad time back when I was going through my 20s and a lot of my 30s. Well, not a lot, but part of my 30s. I didn't understand why the world was so horrible. I didn't understand why I was attracting so much negativity. And I didn't believe in law of attraction or any of that stuff. But I had people just were very awful to me. People were very mean to me. They would, and I was always in this, like, victim, aggressor mode, like always fighting with people. And it was just this super negative experience I was having. I did not like being here. And I was extremely depressed. I didn't want to be around anyone. And I went to a reader at a little event. I sat down just to read my tarot cards, and she says, you know how your people are being really nasty to you? Like all the time, just for no reason, attacking you? And I said, yeah. What's that about? And because nobody had ever said that to me, and I was like, wow, somebody's actually saying this to me. And she said, well, that's coming from you. And I said, well, I don't understand, and how do I make it stop? And she said, I don't know. She said, that's all I'm getting. And I was like, well, thanks a lot. I wish I had somebody with my knowledge now to tell me back then that, hey, you are attracting what you're vibrating based on your past. Because now you're at this low frequency. You have negative thoughts. You have a low vibration. And so that attracts even negative entities and everything. Now, luckily for me, I haven't ever, that I know of, ever had any attachments. But I would attract negative people, and just even people that were normal would lash out at me, right? And that's because I was low frequency. Now, once I knew that, I didn't know what to do with it. But I remember I've told you guys this story a long time ago. I'm sure a few of you might remember it if you've been around a while. I grew up in a very chaotic environment, a lot of, craziness, that's all I'll say. So I was walking by a bookcase, and a friend of mine's husband had left me a few old books, and they were spiritual, weird books, stuff, magic, and all this, like from the 18 and 1900s. And I saw this book called Magical Ritual Methods, and I was like, oh, hey, what's that? I'll take a look. So I started reading it, and I started really getting into it, but I didn't understand some of the things that he was talking about. And, he said something about this ritual, and I'm like, well, what is he even talking about, this ritual? Because he was saying, you don't need that ritual. You can do this other stuff. And I'm like, well, what is he even talking about? Like, I'm supposed to know what this is. I guess only high magicians would have read that book back in the day. So I looked it up on the internet, and of course I found it. And so I did the ritual. And the ritual is supposed to raise your vibration and protect you. It balances your temperaments, right? And this was called the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram. So many of you know I have a demonstration of it on my videos on YouTube and on Facebook. It's Brandy Joy TV for those of you on Periscope. You can watch my demonstration. I also have a walkthrough on how to do the Lesser Banishing Ritual. Because when I did it, immediately everything changed. My vibration shifted up. I didn't believe this at the time, okay? I'm always very skeptical. So when I did it, shifted my energy up, and I immediately started attracting a lot of positivity. Very immediate. I was like, this is really weird. This doesn't make sense. What did this do? It was like a light switch. Right. So that is one way that you can boost your frequency if you are having those issues where you're attracting negative spirits, negative thought forms, negative energies, just people being negative, low frequencies, right? And as an empath, you will do that. You will attract very high vibration, you will attract high vibration if you do high vibration work, but you will attract very low vibration entities and stuff if you are low vibration, because as an empath, you're very open, right? You're not, as an empath, you don't have a strong boundaried sense of self like some people do. It's more like, oh, my energy's everywhere. I know my energy goes everywhere. In fact, I need to get some hematite, 2 of them, and hold them so I can ground myself a little bit lately. It's been pretty crazy. Greg, I would say yes, at least meditate. Early in the morning, I like to go for a walk and get a little sun, a little exercise, and then I meditate. I've done a lot of LBRP. Like, I used to do it twice a day, right? And now I just do it a couple times a week. But it depends on how you feel. If you feel really good, you probably don't need to do it. But if you're feeling low or depressed or something, you probably need to do a little breath work to get your vibe up a little bit so you're not feeling that anxious, right? And then you do the LBRP and you do circulation body of light. And those types of things will help raise your vibration so that you're attracting better things. The ritual? It's actually my most popular video on YouTube. So if you went to my most popular filter, you would see it. But it's called Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, LBRP. Oh, you do meditate every day. Yeah, if you haven't done LBRP, I do strongly recommend that you try it out at least once and just see how it feels for you and if it changes anything for you. Oh, yeah, it's LBRP, also called Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram. Yeah, vibes don't lie, that's for sure. Yeah. So let's see if I missed anything. Frequencies, let me say hi. I always like to compare everything to technology, right? If you think about spirit world in terms of the language of technology that we use, we operate on programs, okay? So when you're a child, you're programmed to be a certain way. You're programmed to think a certain way, to behave a certain way. And you can change those programs with meditation work and with changing your frequency and doing deep meditative work. And shadow work, and I've talked about shadow work before. Shadow work is where you become highly self-aware of your negative traits and of your positive traits, as deep as you can go, and where they're coming from. Now, there's a good time for me to talk about this because we are in the sign of Cancer right now, which is the inner child, the nurturer, right? It's supposed to be about the mother nurturing the baby. So this is a good time to do inner child work. Greg, no, it's not an overkill. You can do it once a day. Yeah, I used to do it twice a day. Yeah, I'm a Cancer too. My birthday is Saturday, actually. And this is a really good time to do some inner child work because as empaths, we do have a certain archetype. And one of those archetypes is victim savior. I know it sucks to have to admit that to yourself, that you have that archetype, that character temperament within your program, but that's part of your soul contract in this lifetime, is to learn to nurture your own inner child and not feel like such a victim, and then not feel like, oh, I have to go save the world. Learn to save yourself, okay, first. It's like the Christ, Jesus, right? He's that archetype. He is the victim savior. He was crucified and all this stuff, and he's the savior of the world. That is what your archetype is as an empath. You are the Christ consciousness archetype. Victim savior. Think about it. Think about how many times even someone has someone's tried to help you, right? Or you're watching a video like this or reading a book and you're thinking about other people and their problems. Like somebody says, oh, you know what would help somebody that has this issue? And you're thinking about, that would help my mom, or that would help my friend, or that would help my boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or my child, right? It would help. And so you're thinking and analyzing other people all around you, being the savior, being the God, saying, oh, I can go help all these people. Instead of thinking about how is it going to help you? How many times has somebody tried to give you something, or you're trying to learn something, and instead of you applying it to yourself, you're applying it to everyone else and thinking, oh, this is, that's how they are. They're bad this way. They're good this way. I could help them. And you're always thinking about other people. That is because you are trying to escape your own problems. You don't want to allow that stuff to come out and to go through the self-healing process yourself. You don't want to believe that you have it. But we all do. We all have to self-heal. And that's one of the problems of being an empath, is that you want to help everybody else and you have the savior archetype. And, you play victim role quite a bit and say, I absorb everybody's energies, right? I do this too, right? We're empaths. That's what we do. But learn how to admit things to yourself. And one really good way to do it is shadow work and just meditate and make a list. One thing you can do is for a whole week, sit there and journal about all of the negative traits about yourself. And then a whole week of all the positive traits, and meditate on it. And release it and just allow it and say, this is just part of this personality and this person and me, and I am aware of it and I can be better, right? Because awareness is always the first step to anything. Some of us are hyper aware. I'm hyper aware. I've gone to too much psychology school, and I've gone to too much spiritual schools and everything. So I'm like hyper aware. I'm like, oh yeah, like I have all these problems. And I become very aware of it. And it's really interesting when you learn something new about yourself, because, a lot of times we stagnate on that. We stagnate on learning about ourselves, and we start learning about, oh, my spouse has this problem and my parents have this problem. Well, what about you? What are your problems? Because we all have them, right? And especially if you're an empath. You might not want to admit it, because we have the savior mentality that we can just save the world because everyone needs us and we're so special. But yeah, we're intuitive and we were trained to be intuitive, right? Oh, good. Glad you're working on yourself. Yeah. But, even though, you don't want to shut everybody out. Sometimes it's good to be a hermit and to learn about yourself, but you learn a lot about yourself through mirroring. And mirroring is when somebody else triggers you, right? I have some serious testy mirrors. So, my mirroring, triggers the anger inside of me. I have a lot of anger issues. I know I do. And I'm always working on that. And the tantric work helps me with that. But I know it's not anybody else's anger that I'm dealing with when I get around somebody, like it gets triggered and I'm like, yep, that's my anger, or sadness or depression or whatever it might be. That's mine, right? So start learning to say, that's mine. When you feel it, no, it's not somebody else's. They triggered your own. You have to accept that. How do you tell those close to you you're doing serious self-work? Well, why would you want to tell them? You procrastinate. Make a list. That's one little thing. I made a list of 100 bad things about myself one week. If you can do 100, that can be very helpful, because we all have so much negative and so much positive within us. We have polarity within us, I have a really dark side too, but I've worked on it a whole lot, and I realize it now when I do something or say something that I shouldn't, that I'm not going to be happy with myself about, I should say. Choose better language, Brandy. Right? Yeah, lots of triggers, yes. And, the more of a light worker you are, usually you have more and more triggers. You get more and more tests, more and more challenges, right? I know that my soulmates in life, the people that are closest to me, the souls, are some of the biggest pain in my life, and they trigger the hell out of me. to the point of not wanting to be here anymore. But, hey, I know in a past life I've killed myself and I had to come right on back. So, not a solution. Not a solution. It doesn't work. Yeah, it is exhausting. I was just thinking that today. I was thinking, I am drained and exhausted from being hurt by people, you know? But, you know, a lot of times we take things personally, like I know I do. We take things personally, and they really shouldn't be taken personally because they're another person's problem. Yeah. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Leah. Yeah. Take responsibilities for our actions is a key. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we really should take more responsibility, not just for our actions, but for our reactions. You know, because I know I react. You know, I get upset. I have a short temper. That's one of my problems. That's one of my negatives, is I have a very short temper. I have a huge heart. Like, I will just do anything for anybody, but, you know, I've had to learn to set boundaries for myself, to serve myself and respect myself. And that's what you have to do as an empath. You have to learn how to set those boundaries and to respect yourself enough and love yourself enough to say, I'm not going to say no and resist this person. I'm going to really be there for myself and say these things for myself in a more positive, optimistic way coming from you, right? Yeah. Yeah, so, for instance, you know, a lot of times as the savior, we'll be too understanding. So someone hurts us, right? Let's say somebody lies to us that's very close, and we just say, hey, please don't ever lie to me, and they lie to us. And then, you know, we say, well, they're abused, well, you know, we come up with these excuses for them, and we go, well, it's a, you know, I can understand why they did it. It's like, you know, you wouldn't do that yourself, but you can understand, so you lack boundaries for yourself. You know, they hurt you, they were wrong to you, they deceived you, but the lack of boundaries just goes, well, I don't matter so much. I can understand why they hurt. I can understand why they did what they did to me, and I don't really matter that much. You know, you don't think about that, but that's what you're actually saying to yourself when you allow people to treat you badly, right? Oh, good, Meredith. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, truth for sure, right? Yeah, walk around in the bubble, that's programming for sure. Yeah, we all are programmed. Meditation helps you change your program. Oh, cool, Leah. Yeah, Tammy. I know I've done it quite a bit. I didn't realize what I was doing, and I've had a lot of people that treated me very badly, and I cut people off after so much of it, but I tend to be a little bit too forgiving, but lately I've become a little bit more like, no, okay, you did that, I told you not to, no, we can't have this anymore. And I'm not trying to resist the person or hurt the person, I'm just setting boundaries. You have to think about it from your self-perception here. Like, okay, what's best for this energy that I'm taking care of right now, you know, this lifetime. This is important. And we tend to dismiss ourselves, right? We tend to dismiss ourselves as empaths, and we say, well, oh, it's okay, I can handle it. I'm strong. I can handle it. It's okay. You know, and it's not okay. And that's where the boundaries have to come in. That's where you have to start asking yourself, hey, is this going to be a positive or negative for me? Don't think about the other person all the time. You're not the savior. You're not a god. And I had a psychologist ask me, hey, you need to look up the goddess complex. You have a savior archetype like crazy. I'm like, I know. I'm just like, oh, you poor thing. Let me help you. Oh, you hurt me. Oh, it's okay. Here, let me just pick you back up. Let me help you. It's okay. It's like, I don't know. It's one of those things where you're a little too understanding, you know, and it's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. Right? Thanks, Virginia. I know. I actually have, I have a teaching book out. I have another teaching book in editing. It's been in editing for a while now. And then I want to write a spiritual book, but I have not got around to it. I like to do all these videos. I'm always, you know, trying to teach people. But yeah, you're right. I need to write a book for sure. Enabling, yes. Yes, Kelly, thank you for saying that. Yes. Cool, darling. When we don't set boundaries for ourselves, yes, we are enabling other people for sure. They have to have the no in order for them to learn and progress, because we are actually keeping them from progressing and keeping ourselves from progressing at the same time by not setting boundaries for ourselves and saying, this is my boundary. If you do this, then we can't be like, friends or whatever it might be. You got to be able to do that, because you are enabling them, and they'll just keep doing what they're doing. They don't learn, right? You had to let someone go from my life recently because I couldn't take the kicking anymore. Good, Tammy. Yeah, good for you. I had to too as well. And I've had to do that over the years many times, and it's hard, especially when you care for the person and you understand that they have issues, but it's for their higher good and your higher good when you can actually say no, or yes. I don't know what that might be, but I'm sure it applies to someone. Sometimes it's hard, especially if it's family. Yeah, Kelly, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I'm dealing with some of that right now, too. When we enable, I think it's really hard for us to look at what's making us uncomfortable and passive. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Is it good to leave someone out of your life? Absolutely. Yeah, so many layers for sure. Yeah, I've cut a lot of people out of my life, and there's been times when I would cut somebody out, and then, a year or two later or whatever, they come back, and then I had to cut them out again. But then there's been a couple that I didn't have to cut out again. So it depends on how much they grow while they're gone, and maybe you can let them back in if they actually went through some evolution and some change, and they let go of those issues that they were affecting you with, Break the pattern for sure. Oh, good for you, Chantel. Sometimes that's what we have to do, and it can be very hard, but it can be so good for the soul. And again, it can help them as well grow, especially spiritually. Yeah. And sometimes I miss comments, you guys. I don't have my glasses on, and it's hard sometimes for me to see some of the comments. And some of them get skipped on Facebook, just so you guys know. Some of them actually just come in and go like that, and I can't see it. Yeah, fight or flight. Ugh, I've been feeling fight or flight all day. Yeah. I've tried to cut down the caffeine today. Oof. Right. Any questions I can answer for you guys? I think I kind of went over everything at this point, for the most part. Facebook? Yeah, I'm on Facebook. It's Brandy Joy TV. I'm on Facebook and Periscope at the same time. Facebook is, I'm a little bit more active on that. I always post every day and stuff. Well, through the week. Yeah, so this will be, as usual, posted on YouTube this evening. So, any last questions? You're resisting the urge to run? Where are you going to run? Yeah, we can't run from ourselves, that's for sure. How do you do LBRP, Renee? Oh, thank you, Greg. The LBRP demonstration is on my YouTube and my Facebook. So just take a look at that. My YouTube name is Brandy Joy TV. So it's the same as what you're seeing on here, Brandy Joy, and then TV. Yeah. What's the best way to start Tantric meditation? Oh, thanks. Thank you. I have a Tantric meditation YouTube video and Facebook video, and then I also have a Tantric meditation course. It's only $25. You can take that if you'd like. It's on my Vibe Courses page, vibecourses.com. I have a Tantric class. I have a dream interpretation class on there. I have a free mini meditation course. I have a free mini tarot course, and I have a tarot master class for anybody that's serious about it. Oh, thank you, Tammy. Very cool. If you try the ritual, I definitely want to hear from you. If you have any questions, let me know. Oh, thank you, Elaine. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Chantel. Yeah, Chantel is actually taking the Tantric class right now. Yeah, thank you. All right. So, yeah, that was my empath talk. So, I hope that helped everybody. And let me know if you have questions. I'd love to hear from you. And Chantel, I will get back to you too tonight. Any ideas how I can find out who I was in a past life? Yeah, I am a past life regressionist, so I can do a regression on you. That's the best way to do it. Have a good night. Thank you so much. Yeah, check out my YouTube. Yeah, and feel free to Facebook message me. Is it to feel happy when you procrastinate? Oh, thank you. Good night. Procrastinate? I don't know. I think procrastination is just you don't want to do something, so you just put it off. Oh, yeah, Christina. Empaths and narcissist combinations are the worst. Well, they typically go together, really. Yeah, it's like magnets. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the birthday wish. Yeah, empaths and narcissists typically are magnets to each other because empaths, you know, they lack these boundaries and everything, and they feel things, and they're triggered and all this. So you have abuse issues, right? And then you attract the narcissistic, especially if you're not doing high vibration work and you're lower vibration empath, you're attracting the narcissistic, like, you know, type of personality. And it kind of makes sense if you really think about about the two, because the empath is like the savior and the victim, that archetype, and then you have the narcissist, which is like very cold in a lot of ways, you know, very cold to the empath. Yeah. I didn't see that. Oh, good night. Good night, Virginia. Thanks for joining. The ritual have any special moon? I'm not sure what that means, but you can do the ritual every day. Any day. Yeah, so true, right? Yeah, there's a lot of that. Anyways, alright guys, well, I will let you go. If you have a last question, I'll stick around for another minute. But that was it for tonight. So you're an empath? Probably. Did you watch the whole video? When you start to astral travel, oh my. You astral travel? I don't even astral travel. I like to stay a little grounded. Oh, you want to learn more? Yeah, follow me. I talk about a lot of different metaphysical things. You always see a dark figure? That's not good. You need to raise your vibration. Because we attract what we vibrate. Yeah. Well, you definitely need to raise your vibration. Do LBRP. Try that. Thank you, Darlene. Have a good night. Thanks for joining. So. Special moon to be done? Yeah, some rituals do, especially like candle magic and stuff. But lesser banishing ritual, you can do that once or twice a day. It changes your vibration and just helps to balance out your temperaments, the elements. And it also creates a little protective aura expansion thing for you. It's great. Yeah, I've been doing LBRP for like 6 years, something like that. It's awesome. All right, well, good night, everybody. If you have any other questions, I'd love to hear from you. And what I typically do is I look at what kind of questions people ask me, and then I end up doing a video about it. So let me know if you have questions. Yeah, anytime. Always have fun with y'all. Love and light. Okay, bye-bye.